Greetings to Archbishop Joseph Kurtz, to the honorees and the guests at the annual Salute to Catholic Education dinner there in Louisville, Kentucky. I would really like to be with you, only a blizzard could keep me away. And I have to say that I'm feeling a little bit nervous about this presentation this evening. And I was reminded about the author of one of my favorite fish stories, a fellow by the name of Peter Benchley, who wrote the story Jaws. Well, Benchley was a speechwriter in the White House, and he didn't do a very good job at it before he became a famous novelist. And he was assigned one speech a week to write. It was called The Rose Garden Rubbish. It's what Lyndon Johnson would say to the future farmers of America or the Girl Scouts or whoever happened to be in the Rose Garden on Friday afternoon. Didn't do a very good job with that either. So the chief of staff told him one week, that's it, you're done. Write one more Rose Garden speech and then hand in your keys. So sadly, he sat down on a typewriter. Now, if you're my age, you remember what a typewriter was. And you might remember 3x5 index cards, because that's what he wrote the speech on. Handed them to the president that fateful Friday afternoon and then left. Mr. Johnson stepped to the podium in the Rose Garden and put on his spectacles as he would, and he said, my fellow Americans, today I'm going to tell you how I'm going to end the war in Vietnam by the end of the month and stop communism. He flipped over to the second index card and said, I'm also going to tell you how we're going to end poverty in the United States by the end of the year and cut taxes. Then he flipped with great trepidation the third index card, which read, you're on your own, Lyndon. The media makes me feel like I'm on my own. I can't really talk to you the way I'd like to. But I'm here to speak to you as a fellow alumni of Catholic schools, K through 12, in Detroit, Michigan, in the Southwest Side. Wonderful grade school called Holy Redeemer Elementary School. Went to a college, high school seminary. Found out my 8th grade teacher wouldn't sign my application because he thought I was a hoodlum, and he might have been right. But it was Catholic education that got me through the seminary and made me the person I am today. So I'm really happy to talk to you about two questions. First, why support Catholic schools? And secondly, what is the secret of their success? Now, the first question, why support Catholic schools? Well, there are lots of reasons. And they've been discovered by studies conducted by a lot of universities who wouldn't normally be supportive of the Catholic Church. And they found out things like minority students, African Americans, and Latinos do considerably better in a Catholic school than they do in their public counterparts. That multiply disadvantaged people do better in Catholic schools. That the graduation rate is higher. As Catholics, we might be interested that a greater percentage of graduates from Catholic schools consider the priesthood or religious life. Regular donors are generally graduates of Catholic education. But these aren't the real reasons. They're important reasons, but the basic reason was expressed to me by a friend years ago when I was a pastor in Detroit. His name was Frank DeSantis. And Frank was the superintendent of the deputy superintendent of the Detroit Public Schools. He took early retirement and a $50,000 pay cut to become the superintendent of Catholic schools. And I asked him, Frank, why did you do it? And he looked at me and he said, Father Joe, give me a child for an hour on a Saturday afternoon, and I can provide them some information. Give me that child for 5 days a week, and I can do formation. I can form them in the way that their parents have begun as a disciple of Jesus Christ. Now, I think Pope Francis would understand what Mr. DeSantis was talking about, because he says we're called today to become missionary disciples. People who aren't just sent out to make this a better world, but we do that because we've learned how to follow Jesus Christ. We do that all of our lives. But the ages of childhood and young adulthood are critical. Just think of what totalitarian governments generally do when they take over an area. They take over the schools first because they want to form young people according to their own ideology. On a more positive side, if we get the gospel message embedded in people's hearts when they're small and support them, there's a better than likely chance they're going to follow Jesus. And this is more critical today than ever. As Professor Christian Smith at Notre Dame studies have shown, the rising rate of unbelief in the United States is being pushed by young people. Young people, more than the other age groups in society, are falling away from organized religion, falling away from an expressed faith in God. I think that makes Catholic schools and the formation we offer all the more important. Now the second reason, the second question is, what's the secret? What's the secret behind Catholic schools? Well, it can't be that we have all the money in the world. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here tonight. In fact, the secret of Catholic schools, which has been verified over and over again, is the community. The Catholic schools call for a community to form around them, a community that will support them, a community that is larger than simply the students, the teachers, the administrators, the parents, but people like my two aunts who never married, never had children, yet donated lavishly to Catholic schools because they knew not only that they were the women they were today because of them, but also they knew that the future of the church was going to pass through those doors. Now, the Archdiocese of Louisville obviously has a wonderful community. The foundation that was established by Archbishop Kelly years ago has its purpose to help with tuition assistance, to provide continuing education and formation for teachers and staff, to help parishes and schools keep up with advances in technology. You have 6 honorees that you're going to thank in a very public way this evening for their contributions to Catholic education. But those 6 people couldn't do it by themselves. Those brothers and sisters are living expressions of the wider community of Louisville that has done so much and continues to support this vital mission of our church. Last year, I believe you raised $750,000 at the annual banquet. Tonight, you're going to do even better. So, buried somewhere in a snowdrift here in New Jersey, I congratulate you. I thank you because people like you made it possible for me and my 12 brothers and sisters to go to Catholic schools. You are doing your best to help form young people for a bright future. Thank you, and may God bless you and reward you for your efforts tonight.